gas has been reduced down from an area of high pressure, which is in the cylinder, to an area of low pressure, which is going to be in the lines. It's going to be whatever pressure's inside the cylinder down to about 50 psi is what we've got it set from our single stage reducing valve or pressure regulating valve. So the oxygen in here is going to supply labs 300, 307, and 303. So that's going to be important for you to be able to remember. So oxygen is going to go through our labs 300, 307, and 303, and we get all of that oxygen in there from these 4 cylinders in here, or the 1 cylinder that's going to be hooked up in here. So that being said, from here it's going to go through copper piping, which goes up through the cylinder from this room. We utilize copper piping because it's a non-ferrous metal. It doesn't spark. And also there's some theory out there that copper's also got some antimicrobial effects to it too. That's one reason why a lot of houses may utilize copper lines or what have you for water and so forth. So we'll run there. Copper is a non-ferrous metal. Let's go ahead and open this door up. This door is open. You'll notice that there are some lines out here. We've got vacuum, air, and oxygen. They are labeled accordingly. You've also got medical vacuum over here as well. These lines have to be labeled every 50 feet what they are. So for construction purposes, we know what's in which line if we had to do anything ahead of time or at a later date. This pipe over here could ask you what's in this pipe. This is just basically an electrical conduit pipe. So, that probably will be a question on the checkoff. So let's make sure we don't get stumped up on that. These are labeled exactly what they are. You've got vacuum, air, oxygen, and then another medical vacuum line. And again, these have to be labeled every 50 feet. So if we were to go 50 feet away from here up in the cylinder or the floor and access these lines, you're going to see that they are labeled every 50 feet. So let's go into room 307. This is room 307. Let me see if I can get a light turned on over here right quickly. The medical air, gas, and oxygen come into room 307 through the floor. And we know this because if we walk around to where our station outlets are at, we will see that the oxygen does indeed, the air and the vacuum does indeed come up from the floor. See those pipes coming out of the floor? We've also got zone valves at each one of them. So the zone valve is attached on each one of the pipes. So those valves that are pointing, so if I needed to turn any one of those off, all I'd need to do is just turn those valves. So if I wanted to shut vacuum off, I'd turn the valve. If I wanted to shut air off, I'd turn the valve. If I wanted to shut oxygen off, I'd turn the valve. These come up to the station outlets. The station outlets are going to utilize the diameter index safety system. So the station outlets utilize the diameter index safety system. We've been talking about the larger cylinders for a while. They utilize the American Standard Safety System. So there's one set of zone valves or one set of station outlets in here. Underneath the counter is going to be a second set of zone valves. The other side of the counter is the third set of zone valves. And then over here by the sink, you can see those pipes there. There's going to be another set of zone valves down there. These set of zone valves are going to operate both sides, or both beds if you will, over here. So make sure that you keep that in mind. So there are 4 sets of zone valves in here. So if I were to ask you for the total amount of zone valves, because there's 3 to a set, there would actually be 12 zone valves in here. Now if I were to ask you specifically how many oxygen zone valves are there in room 307, obviously you can do the math. There would be 4 oxygen zone valves. But those are set up to each one of the outlets, as you can see from here. And I know that the information you've got in the pamphlet that I've posted on Blackboard will be helpful as well. So let's look at this room. This room is 300, or is this 303? Let me double check. I get backwards on the room numbers. This is actually 303. So the NICU or the small lab is room 303. Let me turn a light on. In this room, we've got 2 medical utility columns. These medical are the big columns here. Gas, vacuum, or oxygen, air, and vacuum are going to come to these 2 medical utility columns from the cylinder. So it's going to be supplied in the cylinder, and the zone valves to these are actually in the ceiling. This one's going to be in that tile right there, directly above the medical utility column. The zone valve for that medical utility column is going to be above that tile in the ceiling. So if we needed to turn those off, we'd have to get a step ladder, but hopefully we won't ever have to turn those off. But you'll notice that there are wall outlets, an oxygen outlet, an air outlet, and a oxygen or a vacuum inlet. Remember, look at the color code associated with oxygen is green, air is yellow, and vacuum is white. We'll keep a look on those as well. So you've got, as far as the medical utility columns are concerned, you've got 4 oxygen outlets, 4 air outlets, and 4 vacuum inlets. Back here behind this little nurse's station or what have you, or workstation, is going to be another set of outlets. So you've got 2 more oxygen outlets, 2 more air outlets, 2 more vacuum inlets. The gas and the vacuum supply comes here through the floor. So the medical utility column is going to be through the ceiling. Back here is going to be through the floor. The zone valve to get to these is actually going to be behind that panel right there. You'd have to have a screwdriver take those screws out and access the zone valves there if you needed to. They are behind there should we need to be able to get those. Just 6 minutes into this video, I'm going to go ahead and turn this video off. The next video will be me in the 300 lab, and in there we'll talk about how gas gets over to room 300.